is a hoot. She is 88 years old. She loves to draw little pictures. And the other day I walked in and she was drawing these cute little frogs. And I am just completely amazed with these little frogs. I love them. And I told her, you know what? It's enough of me watching you make pictures all the time and just they go stuffed into a book. I'm going to bring them to life. So that's exactly what I did. I just kind of looked at her cute little design and decided to start bringing some of these guys to life. So today I'm going to show you, I'll just pick a random one. Maybe we can just do this little guy right here. He's super cute. He's looking over to his left and he's got a cute little smile. So we'll focus on him today. But you can make any one of these little facial expressions on these guys and make as many of these as you want. It's going to be so much fun and super easy. You're going to freak out how easy it is. So let's go ahead and tell you what you're going to need for this project. You are going to need, first of all, a green carded wool. It can be any green carded wool that you want. It doesn't matter. This is a Maori wool. I have a link to it from Desert Breeze, and it's called Leaf. So that's what this one is called. This is a winter white. You're going to need that for the eyes. And it, again, can be any white. Does not have to be winter white. This one is from Living Felt. It's their MC1 collection. And then you're going to need a tiny pinch of black. This is MC1 Black by Living Felt, but it can be any black you have. Then you're going to need some aluminum wire. This is a 14 gauge aluminum wire. Got this one from Hobby Lobby, but I also buy from Serafina Fiber Arts. That they have a pretty good price on their wire. You can buy it from Amazon as well. I think I might have a link in my description for wire from Amazon that I've purchased. So you need that. You're going to need a green floral tape. And that's pretty self-explanatory. That's going to go on the legs. You're going to need a super glue. And I choose super glue for this project. Use many different glues, but for this project, just because it's fast and I don't want to sit there and hold the floral tape for too long of a time. You will need a couple of wire tools. This is a clipper and this is a needle nose pliers. You're going to need that. A felting mat, of course, and then you will need for needles. On this project, I have used my 36 gauge in order to just make the balls, a 38 for, you know, some molding and shaping. I've used a 40 triangle, and then just to refine everything, these are two 42 triangles in my Clover pen tool. That is going to be it. So let me clear these cute little guys off of here, and I will show you how to do this. They're so cute. I'll line you all up over there. Okay, so first of all, just go ahead and take your green and pull off a pretty good chunk of it. This is just so you can, for those that love to measure, because I like that too. I'm very visual. I'm going to start with this and we'll see where we go. So this is about 4 inches, each one of these pieces. So I have two 4-inch pieces by about 3 inches. 4 inches by about 3 inches. It's just a good little chunk there. And I'm going to go ahead and layer them on top of each other. You could pull 8 inches by 3 inches as well. It'll do the same thing. And I'm just going to start as tight as you can, just to get the air out of the wool. And when you get about halfway through, take the right side and kind of fold it over, and then take the left side and fold it right over the right side. So now you have what looks kind of like a cinnamon roll. And then you're just going to keep rolling and keep it super, super tight. A lot of little fibers there that don't belong. And then do it again. and it's going to be harder this time. So right and then left. It's going to be hard to hold on to. Just hang on if you can. And then all the way over. Take your 36, hold it tight, and wherever your fingers are not, start poking. When you feel like you can poke straight through, you don't need to touch the mat when you do this. Just go into the center of this little ball. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it around. I'm still holding it pretty tightly here. A little bit might get away from you, and that's okay. We're just really trying to hold it to keep that air out and keep it into this somewhat ball shape. It's not going to look completely like a ball yet. You'll notice this project is so small, I'm not using core wool. I don't feel it's necessary to use the core wool right now. I can just make this little tiny shape with my green. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over, and all this loosey-goosey stuff, I'm just going to kind of pull up into the center, hold it with my fingers, and I'm just going to keep from different angles stabbing to the center. All of these stabs are forming our ball shape. I have another video that shows you just how to form a ball, so if you have trouble forming balls, you can definitely look up at the top of the screen here. I'll show you what it looks like, and then you can find it in my playlist. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it around. This part's starting to firm up, so I still have this loosey-goosey part here. I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to keep folding it over as it gets away from me. I'm just going from all angles. Turn it around. Just keep shaping it into that ball as you're turning. So you're using the needle plus you're using your hands to shape this. Okay, so now that you have a pretty good beginner shape here, pretty good ball shape, you want to measure it. These guys that I made are about 1.5 inches. So with those 2 pulls that we did earlier, the 8 inches by 3 inches, definitely it's making a good 1.5 inch ball. So that's perfect. Then you're going to want to take your 38 and just go over it again, just to sort of get the lumps and bumps out. And just do what we did while we were shaping it and just keep turning. And you're just focusing mainly on anything that doesn't look even right now. Anything that looks like it's not aligned with the rest of the ball. You're just going to kind of focus on those areas. You can still see lots of holes and divots, and we are definitely going to be taking care of that through the rest of this felting process. The stages of needles that we'll be going through. I always like to start with a 36, then go to a 38, then go to a 40, and then to a 42. That's kind of my process of smoothing and shaping and refining. Start strong and very fine. Okay, so it's looking great. I'm going to roll it between my hands. The oils from my hands, as well as just the friction, are continuing my felting process. Keep turning it in your hand so that you are rubbing on all equal sides here. If you feel like one part's a little more lopsided, just focus on that part. All right. So now I'm going to get my 40 and just do the same thing. Anywhere that you can see it's kind of lumpy or bumpy, the part that's depressed in there is the part you stabbed. The part that's not is the part that still needs to be stabbed. So just try to hit those lumpy areas as you're going back over it one more time here. Now I'm just looking for like those little lumpy areas. Okay, I'm gonna put it back in between my hands and just keep rolling. And then finally, I will hit it with my 242 triangles and keep them going different angles. I want them to go up and down and then turn my pen. So I'm going in one direction, turning my pen and going the other direction, kind of all in that same area, so that I'm hitting as much of that surface area as I can. I work in this little area here, and then I'm just going to move up. Turn my pen, move up. I use this little turn my pen technique when it's a small area that really needs to be refined. And that way I'm hitting, you know, the entire surface area, just to be sure my needles are hitting everything. Just another little trick that I learned probably from some wonderful artists that I saw watching YouTube videos. Okay, in the hands again. You can smooth it with your fingers. Now it's up to you. You can keep refining or you can move on to the next step. I'm perfectly fine with how it is right now. I love it. And just if you have anything that's not quite completely round, just use your fingers. Your fingers can mold it. Really is just so much like sculpting. And now we are still right below 1.5. So that's really great. That's a good place to start. So the next thing that we're going to do, let me put this over here. I'll just put it to the side here. For the eyes, we're going to make these two little eyes. These are about 1/4 of an inch. And really the measurement for this is just, I actually just pull about the size of 1/4. So I just take my thumb and forefinger, pull about what looks like the size of 1/4 if I were to fold it up. So that is about the size of 1/4, just to measure it for you. Once I do that, it's exactly 1 inch. It fits right in my little 1 inch spot there. And we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to put it on an area that's not contaminated with a color. Let's see if I can get this clean. And then I've already got it folded into like my little 1/4 shape. I'm just going to do the same thing. It's just on a smaller scale. I'm going to roll it, fold the sides over each other, and just keep rolling it into a little circle. It's going to be hard for you guys to see it in my hands because it's so tiny. But that's all we're doing. We're just kind of getting the same shape that we did with the larger one. And then with this one, since it's so small, I'm just going to start with a 38. And I'm just going to start piercing it very slowly with the 38 from all angles, just to start forming my shape and combining this wool. So I'm not going to have to hold on to it for so long. Be careful, you're super close to your fingers here. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it, fold that other side over, and just keep doing exactly what we did before. Just on a much smaller scale. And turn it and keep folding over. So some parts are going to pop out on you, and you're just going to keep going from all different angles, folding them over and shaping your ball. Now, I'm going to roll it in my hands. Still needs a little shaping, so I'm going to stay on the 38, but I don't have to hold on to it as tight anymore. Another thing that you could do if you're worried about hitting your fingers is you could hold a little side of it with a needle straight up and down, and then stab on this part here. Don't put the needle sideways because you'll stab into the needle. It's just another way to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to move to the 40. Just going to keep turning it and stabbing it. Turning it and stabbing it, turning it and stabbing it. It's just the same process over and over. This one is so small, we're not going to even really need to go to the 42. The 40 is just going to be fine for this. So this one is just the 38 and the 40. So that is about 1/4 of an inch. And you can just keep refining it until you're happy with it and it's nice and smooth. And then you're going to do that twice, okay? So the next thing that we're going to do is take 2 of the eyes. I like to try to make them all at once. I make like 10 of them and then pick the 2 that are exactly the same size or as close as can be. And then take a little pinch. And then when I say little, I mean teeny, like the tip of your pinky. It can fit right on the tip of your pinky and see through it. It's not super thick. Fold that up into, like, kind of fold it over into almost a little square or circle. If there's anything really loose and crazy, try to get it off because you're going to have to deal with that on the eyeball. And then, so now I've got it folded just into a little tiny, maybe 4 millimeter size here. Lay it right on the eye. Hold on to it with your thumb. Take a 40 and stab right into the center. Just stab and stab right into the center in the same place. So now I can let go of the black, hold on to my eyeball, and I'm going to pick a little bit of the side that's the fringe, pull it over with my needle, and just keep stabbing right into the center. Do that again. I'm going to take the tip of the needle, swirl some around on it, and keep stabbing into the center. Now, if you have watched some of my practice drill line and curved line videos, there's a little trick there where you take your needle, the tip of your needle, and you drag and you felt. Drag and felt. We're going to do that here on this outline. Okay, so now you can either leave it this size or you can make it a little bit bigger. It's completely up to you. I have done them all different sizes, and I think any size that you choose to do is cute. So here's an example of them a little bit bigger, and here's an example of just a tiny little dot. And no matter what you choose, it's going to be right. So we'll go ahead and leave them this little tiny size for now. Do the same thing here. Just make sure they're both the same size, or as close as you can get it. And take your time with this. If you don't feel really comfortable doing a little black dot, you can always take a marker and just make a dot with your marker, and that's perfectly fine as well. Okay, so next we're going to put those aside. We're going to pick up our frog body, and one thing I forgot to tell you that you need is an awl. So you will definitely need an awl. Now, you're going to look at this circle and divide it in your mind's eye into thirds. So the first mark here, so here's 1/3. That first mark is where the arms are going to go. So you just turn it to the side and take your awl and push it through. Go slowly and just work your way towards your finger. Now we felted this sucker hard, so it's not an easy push. It shouldn't just fly through, okay? You can see how hard I'm pressing. Okay, and you want to try to make sure it's straight. I kind of always don't go straight. But feel where you are, see if it's straight. Take a look at that. It's starting to come through here, so I feel like that's okay. Now you're going to push the awl up, sideways, sideways, and down. So I'm not just going back and forth. I'm actually pulling it up with my hand, going to the left, going to the right, going down. And what this is doing is it's actually creating a larger hole than my awl is. Got to put a little bit of strength behind it. So this way, by doing this, it's actually felting the inside of the hole with the friction from the awl. And what that's going to do for me is something amazing. It's felting it, so when I pull this out, I'm not going to lose my hole. So I don't know how many times before I learned that I would lose my hole and I'd have to remake it. So this way, you're not going to have to remake it. Okay, so I'm going to pull some wire, and before I even clip it, I'm just going to stick it right through. It goes through so easily. And I'm going to just sort of see where I want my arms to be, and then I'll measure this for you guys. So on the end of your arm, you're going to have a little circle that you're going to bend with your needle nose pliers. Just a little circle. And now you can kind of look at that and see, is that too long? How do you feel about it? I think I might make it a little shorter since it's the arms and I do the legs long. So right there I think is good. I've honestly never measured any of these, but I'm going to measure them for you today. So this will be our other circle right here. I'm going to clip this just a little bit bigger than that. And I'm going to take this out and I'm going to measure it for you. So I would say almost 5 inches. If you cut 5 inches, you'll be fine. I measured that a little bit bigger because I had already turned this in, and it's better to have more than not enough. Okay, so see how I did not lose my hole just because I felted the inside of that hole. Okay, so now I can make my other little hand, my needle nose pliers. I'm just going to get the very tip. I don't want the thick part of my pliers. I just want the very tip, and I'm just going to turn it into a little circle. Okay, and there's my little arms. How cute. Okay, so now take your awl and do the same thing, but we're going from the bottom up to the other 1/3. So we're leaving his belly area alone, which is actually not even his belly. It's going to be his face, which is so cute. So, but right here, you're going to go about 1/3 from the bottom, and that's where you're going to put the hole for the legs. Now, some of these, if you were to look closely, you'll see that they're cattywampus on mine. They're not exactly perfect. So I want you to take perfection out of your brain and don't worry about it. We're just having fun. This is a fun little project. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go up, push it down, to the right, to the left. And you can see how hard I'm holding that because I'm really pushing hard with my awl. Can't really tell, but I'm just literally like pushing down to the left, up, and to the right. Felting, felting, felting. Have a nice good hole there. This one's definitely going to be longer than 5 inches, but I will let you know how much it is in a second. And that went straight through. Now we want him to have nice long little legs, and he's going to have a foot at the bottom. Compare it to this guy. So that's about the length, but I still need a foot on the bottom. So I'm going to give him a little bit more for a foot. Might be a little too much. I'll measure this for you guys. Okay, now I'm going to cut it off there. And I'll take this out and measure it. This is 9 inches. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to take our needle nose and we're going to go about probably a 1/2 inch from the bottom of the foot and turn it, then another 1/2 inch and turn it again. And then take that and bend it up. Okay. Let me make sure that's a 1/2 inch. Yeah. Yep. So about a 1/2 inch. Turn it. Another 1/2 inch. Turn it again. And then bend that up. Now you can determine if you like this length of legs or if you want them longer. So if this was 9 inches, you can do 10 inches. You could even do maybe 10.5 would be okay. But I've got some little ones. You can see this is a little one that I'm doing. So this one's going to end up being kind of, you know, a little bit shorter. And then these guys are a little taller. So since his body seems to be a little small for me, I'm going to go with a little bit shorter leg, but you can do any size you want. That's what's so great about this. Just use creative license and you can do any size that you want. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our super glue and our floral tape. Pull off a piece of floral tape. This is the length I like to work with. This is about 6.5 to 7 inches. Snap it, and that activates the stickiness. Take your super glue, and you're just going to put a small, just a tiny little dot. That's probably even way too much right there. Small little dot. Slide your floral tape right up underneath the wire, like that, as close to the body as you can get, and then just fold it right over on top of that super glue. Don't worry about this part right here. We're going to cover that with the green. Okay, so you just want this to stick to that really well. As it's drying, just kind of make sure, you know, it's nothing sticking out really funny or anything like that. So now it's on there good. I'm just going to hold on to the wire with my thumb so the wire's not bouncing around. And you're going to wrap this just the same way that you would wrap wool. So you're going to pull tight close to the wire. and then wrap it around, overlapping each time. The only thing you really have to worry about with this is just to be careful not to let it bunch up on you. You don't want a bunch of bunchy little wrinkles or anything like that. So you just want to try to keep it very like flat against the wire and just overlapping each time. It's very moldable. So as you're going, if anything does bunch or doesn't look right, you can just use your fingers and mold it to the wire. And just make sure it's tight. You want it to be pretty tight. And just keep going all the way down. Okay, and when you get to this very, very end part, I'm gonna take it and I'm just gonna go straight over the heel, fold that over with my finger, hold it there, and then I'm just gonna cover the foot. Now right here, this is all gonna be covered with wool, so if it doesn't look perfect here, that's okay. You just wanna cover the foot. Try to cover the end if you can. So just manipulate that a little bit to kind of go over the tip here and then back over the foot. So I just got all of the wire covered. Okay, and then for this little spot right here, you're just going to take a little piece of wool, just a tiny little pinch. That may even be too much. Take your 40 and you're just going to put that over the leg on both sides. So I'm just going to pull that wool right up over the leg, kind of cover that area. So we're covering the wire, and I still want it to be flat against the ball, so I don't want like a huge, like I don't want it to look like a hip. I'm just going to felt it in right around it on all sides. And just use your needle to refine it, and you want to just, do that until it's smooth, just like the rest of the ball. Just like that. Okay, now it's nice and tight in there. This one's not going to be shifting through or anything like that. So now I'm just going to take another little pinch. This is about 2 inches. So you can see it's going to be 2 inches minus the fluff on the ends. So this is just the, the end trailing off there, but it's about 2 inches, 2 inches by 1 inch. I'm going to fold it over, and then I'm just going to put that on the bottom of the foot. I don't want anything to come up the leg. Put it on the bottom of the foot, kind of hold it on there, and then I'm just going to take this and wrap it. I'm just going to wrap it right around the foot. I want to try to go up to the top, hold it tight, and then go back to the back. And then go back over it until I get to the end. Wherever I end, I'm just going to hold it, get it on the mat, take my 38 and I'm just going to stab right in the center of the wire, right through the floral tape. You'll feel the floral tape kind of resist. That's okay. Just be very careful wherever the wire is, not to stab the wire. This is a great opportunity to use what I call an armature needle, where you can actually take a needle that you use only for armature to get close to that armature. It's a throwaway needle. This one is a 38 as well, but it's not one of my good needles. Anytime you need to stab close to armature, it's good to have just a throwaway needle. Just when you're doing those initial, like really close to the wire stabs. Okay, then turn it over. I'm bending the foot to where it's gonna be. Okay, and I'm gonna just use that armature needle again. When I'm stabbing inside the wire here, it's tightening up my wool. And it's just gonna tighten that wool right around that wire. So now I can let go. I've done the top and the bottom. And then I'm just gonna, keep going around, and I'm just gonna, anything that's loosey-goosey, I'm just gonna stab it into the center of the top of the foot. Anything that's up here around the ankle, I'm just gonna stab down onto the foot. Knowing where my wire is. And you don't stab into the mat, just go like halfway into the foot. No need to go into the mat. Really, the only time we should be going into the mat is when you're doing something flat, like wings, or, if you're making fabric with your punch tool, something like that. Okay, so right now, that's really good. It's nice and solid on there. And we can come back later with our 40 and refine that, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing on this leg. I will just go ahead and do the process for you and just speed it up for you so you don't have to sit through the entire thing. Okay, so now if you want, you can take your needle nose, find the knee, and just bend it in both legs. And like I said, we'll go and refine these feet in just a little bit. And now we're going to do the exact same thing on the arms. You're going to need a little bit less, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, you pull too much, you can either wrap it around the hand or take some off. Tighten that up. Okay, just fold that over, hold it. That's probably the trickiest part of the whole thing. Just getting that first part to stick. The floral tape is sticky. The super glue is sticky. This just makes everything sticky. Okay. So now we're just going to do the exact same thing, just on a much smaller scale. Just want to make sure I start with a really tight wrap. Okay, so when I get up to the hand now, pretty much going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go right over that hand and then just wrap that a few times and then tear that off. And then just take that and kind of fold it right over. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did, only we don't need quite as much, so probably only need about 1.5 inches. So that's about 1.5 inches. I'm going to fold it over like this and do the same thing. I think I'm going to put this folded edge this way so there's less fuzz for me to felt later. And then I'm just going to hold it and start wrapping it around. This time I'm looking more for almost a ball shape. It's kind of a flat ball is kind of what they've been turning into. So I'm going all the way around it. I'm going to have all this loose fringy stuff, and I'm just going to fold that right over. Okay, take that, lay it on your mat. It doesn't matter which side is up at this point. Take your throwaway needle right through the center of your wire circle that you made. If you feel wire, stop and just go around it. Now I'm doing on the outside of that wire circle. I'm just trying to shape like a little ball. If you go parallel, let me move that. If you go parallel, you can get in there. Parallel with the mat. This is tiny, so you might go through it. Okay, and then now that I have that done, I'm just going to take the rest of this and just keep wrapping it around. That's really all you do. Don't forget, you are going to meet some resistance with the tape. The tape is nice in this situation because it actually gives the wool something to hang on to instead of just being wrapped around the wire. I really like that. I'm going to come up a little bit onto the arm. Trying to go in sideways. Just any way you can get in there to get that felted. Can't see your wire anymore, but you kind of remember it's in a little circle. I did hit the mat with that. So this time I'm going to definitely try not to go into the mat. Here I'm hitting wire, so I'm just going to stop and go around it. Okay. So not done yet, but that's a pretty good start there. And let me go ahead and do the other one as well. Okay, so I'm going to take my 40 now that both of the hands and the feet are done. I'm going to take my 40 and I'm going to just go parallel with the mat over the surface. I may not be able to catch everything, but I'm going to just try to get anything that's loose and fly away felted into the hand. Stay as parallel as you can. You know, you may need to move it around a little bit, but find the angle that works for you. The main reason I want to try to go at a parallel angle is so I'm not felting through the hand. I just want to trim it up. It is a little tiny hand though, so there's a really good chance you will be felting through. Just don't want to go into the mat, let's put it that way. If I go into the mat right now, I'm just going to keep turning it over and over and over and over again. Let's do this one. Just keep changing the angle of your needle as you need to. You'll know where you need to hit it. And here's an example of some that went into the mat earlier. So we, want to try to avoid that so that you don't have to come back and repair like this. Sometimes it just won't go in, and that's because of the wire. So you just do what you can. Okay, so if you have anything just loosey-goosey, you can take your scissors and just kind of hold it close to it and trim that off. It is pretty hard to get it super great up to the wire. Not a lot here, just a few little pieces. And then we'll do the same thing on the feet. Especially around the ankle, you'll have a lot of fuzz there. So you want to try to get in around the ankle. All resistance is not wire. Some of that is going to be that tape, don't forget. And you can spend as long as you want doing this. Sometimes it's a fun thing to do, like when you're in front of the TV, watching TV, you can just keep refining if you're not happy with how it is. But these guys are a little bit nutsy anyway, so for them to look a little bit fuzzy or nutsy is not going to hurt anything. Yep. And then, yeah, I would probably, you could probably go over those one more time. I'm not going to do that here, but you could. I wanted to show you one more thing if you are having trouble getting the fuzzies out of the hands and the feet. One of my favorite tools, and I have it on some other videos as well, is Power Wax. It's by a company called PowerTex. It's a water-based cold wax. And what I want to do is just show you that if you do have situations like that where you're having trouble and it's just too fuzzy and too much wire in there to stab, you can really easily just put a little bit of this Power Wax on there. This is something so small that you can just do it with your fingers and rub that in really, really well. You just want to rub it right into the wool. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to make all the little flyaway fuzzies sort of go away. They're going to stick into the wool. It's going to give you a very smooth surface. And you can really get away with it on things like frogs, because frogs do have, you know, a special skin, like they're not normally fuzzy. So if they have a smooth hand or smooth foot, nobody's even going to question that. It looks white right now, but it is going to dry clear. And then you can just do this on all 4 of those. This is a great tool to have. It's a little bit of an investment. Here in the United States, it's about $18. But I will tell you, I will never be without it. I love it. I use it on a lot of different creations. So that is just one solution. Say you get it felted as tight as you can, and you just still feel like it's really, really fuzzy. Use Power Wax, and it is just such a lifesaver. So I just wanted to share that with you. Just one last finishing touch, and just in case you wanted to use that little tip, okay? And then you can bend at the elbow if you want, or you could keep it straight if you want, whatever you guys want to do. Then take your eyeballs, and you're going to, they're going to be on both, you know, either side of the head, separated. So just hold it down, get your 36, set him on the mat so you have something to push against, some resistance. And you might want to figure out where you're going to want the eyeballs to be. So like for instance, on this picture is what we're doing. They're both looking over here to his left, which is our right. So if I want them both looking that way, I'm going to actually put my pupil going that direction. And then I'm just going to take my 36, go right through the white into the green. And just turn it and go all the way around. If you feel it's easier to put the black on after you do this, like after you attach the white, you can do that too. I've done it both ways. I find it easier to do the black before I get it on there, but you may not. I'm just going all the way around, all the way around. And then I'm going to do a few stabs through the eyeball. Watch out for the wire inside. And I just want them to, I just really want it to attach. You can kind of pull it. You can see if it's loose anywhere. It's a little loose there. So I'm going to hit it a few times there. Okay, so where's my other eyeball? It ran away. Okay, so now I want this one also to look that same direction. So I'm going to put my eye where it belongs, which is kind of on the other side of the head, but I'm going to line those eyeballs up so they're both looking that direction. You can see I use my fingers a lot to sort of hold the piece. That first stab is probably most important just because it's anchoring it where we want it to be. Feel free to move your arms out of the way there. And go all the way around. Okay. I'm just going to make sure he's looking the way I want him to look. He's so cute. Okay, and then I'm going to go through the center. Just need to catch it like maybe 4 times, 5 times. Just for extra security. So cute. Okay, so this is the guy we're doing. We're going to do this cute little dopey mouth here. A little semicircle with 2 semicircles on the ends. So I'm going to pull my black. I'm going to draft out my wool. This is just a little, I would say maybe this one's the tip of my thumb here. Just the tip. Like a pea, the size of a pea. And I'm going to roll it between my fingers, draft it out. And I'm pulling very gently. When I draft, I'm pulling gently, gently, gently. It's as if I'm just taking my fingers and very smoothly, very softly running across the wool like that. So it looks like I'm pulling it hard, but I'm really not. Okay, and I'm just rolling it like I would some Play-Doh until I get it about the length that I want. And I'm going to use this little picture as a reference. And I'm going to set it down in my smile shape right in the center. Now it is a little thick. I teach you in the practice drills how to make curved lines, how to do this. So if you really want some really good instruction on how to make this thin and such, you can always go over there and watch that. But basically what we're doing is we are keeping our needle to the wool. We're dragging it down, dragging it across, and then felting. It's good to hold onto the end so it doesn't bunch up on you. And then you can use the tip of your needle to sort of take anything that's like thick and pull it into the center of the line. This is kind of thick, so I think I'm going to switch to my 38. 38 right here. The 38 is just going to get it into that line shape, you know, that thinner line faster for me. It's for molding and sculpting. Okay, I'm going to take the end and I'm going to go ahead and start making the little semicircle at the end. just using the tip of my needle to sort of pull it over and shape that. Okay, and then up here, I'm going to do the same thing. This one's a little thicker, so I'm actually going to twist it. I want this part thinner, so I'm going to twist it so it's a little thinner. I'm not going to need all of this, but I'm going to start my little semicircle. And I'm just going to felt to where I want it to end, which is about right here. You can either pull that off or trim it. In this situation, I think I'm just going to trim it. Still have some left over, so I'm going to come up and finish the top of this semicircle right here. Just a tiny little piece. And let me get a little tiny bit more black just to finish the other side. I'm just going to put it where I want it to end and stab it down. Do the same thing on this side. Bring everything into the line and just keep refining it. All right, so I'm going to take my 40 and I'm just going to go back over that line and just refine it all. Sort of making that semicircle nice and neat. Whatever way you push your needle, that's the way the wool is going to go. So if I want this to come down a little bit, I'm going to push it in that direction. And I'm not always stabbing into the line, I'm also pushing the line down. So like if I want that part to come down just a tiny bit, I can do that. And you can also use the tips of your fingers to get it into the place that you want it to be. Squish him up again. Make him fat because we've kind of moved him out of his circle shape. And there you have it. So let's let him join his little friends. Super, super cute. So I really hope that you guys make these, and I hope that you had a lot of fun making them with me today. And I would love to see them. You can either find me on Facebook. It's More Fun with Felt, with spaces in between each word. Just type that in. You'll find me there. Or you can find me on Instagram. It's just the @ More Fun with Felt all together. Of course, you've already found me on YouTube, and I would love if you would like and subscribe. I'm also eligible for super thanks now. So if you guys want to give me a little super thanks so I could start, you know, making a little bit of a better quality video, that would be super terrific. So I really appreciate you coming today. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.